Hi folks, today we're going to be taking a look at the Bison Oberharzer Axe, so stay tuned. So this axe is made by a company called Bison, based in Germany, somewhere in Saxony I believe. Based there, and they're called Bison 1879 because that's when the company was actually founded, and I believe they've gone back to making traditional hand-forged axes, and that's why they're going back to their heritage, calling it 1879. So anyway, they making a range of axes, hand-forged and based on traditional sort of skills and models from that part of the world. So Bison call this utility axe or a universal axe, and they also called it the balanced one. So anyway, it's called Oberharzer, and when I looked up what that might mean, because obviously it's German, the Harz is a part of, it's a wooded mountainous area in northern Germany, and the Oberharzer is the upper part of that region. Now it's quite interesting actually, because it seems like it's quite a remote area, and they even have their own dialect in that part. Now what it makes me think is that because they're calling this utility, it's got a name of the upper mountainous region, I do think that they see this as a sort of forest axe, utility axe, do-it-all type of axe. So that, to my mind, brings it squarely in the sort of range of the American boys axes or the Scandinavian forest axes. So that's where I think this axe has been pitched. So it's 800 grams is the weight of this axe, 60 centimeter handle. It is made out of hickory, the handle. Appears to be quite nice grain on it, very securely hung. The company claim that it is hand forged, so I think it's open die forging. Now it's a very interesting looking shape when you look at that, which is one of the reasons I was intrigued by this one. Quite a strange looking shape, this decent sized bit, but this got a sort of beard in it, which makes it useful for getting your hand close up. It has, however, got quite a thick bit, so you know, potentially quite useful for splitting, but quite unusual in a sort of universal axe maybe. But it does look very different to most other universal axes, I would suggest. Now embossed into the metal, the 800, which is the weight, but this U, that's also been embossed in there. On the website they claim that that is their sign of quality. So once they've inspected it and forged it, they'll put that U in to show that they are happy with a particular product. So the website says it's made out of industrial tool steel, and they do actually suggest they have a 10-year warranty on this axe for any breakages. So they do stand by, you know, their products, which is quite nice. You know, still made in Germany, traditionally using traditional methods. I do quite like that idea. The handle, it's a little bit thick. Some people I've seen reviewing it say that it's very comfortable. It's slightly thicker than maybe I'd prefer. Now I know some people say a lot of companies give you a thick handle so you can shape it down to the size you want. I'm not sure that's the case in this instance, because they've embossed a very nice logo into the side of the handle, which would suggest they don't want you to, well, they're not expecting you to modify it. So I'll give it a go as is and see how I find it, but it does feel definitely thicker than something like the Council Tool Boys Axe. Now the axe was delivered with this very nicely made mask or sheath. It's very thick leather. It has a welt. It's been nicely riveted. Got the stitching for effect, I think, more than anything else, but it does look really good. It's got the logo embossed on it. So very nicely made, very thick leather. It's not an particularly expensive axe actually. It's sort of in the range of the Husqvarna axes, so it's well under £100. It's around the £60 mark, which is pretty reasonable for an axe made in Europe. So, you know, they often skimp on things like the mask, but they have not skimped on this one. One problem though with this particular one that I received, I don't know if this mask was for a different axe, because it is too loose on the axe. So when you clip it on, it comes off quite easily, which suggests to me that a mask from the wrong axe. I'm not sure. I should be able to fix it. I'll move this, I'll cut it off and re-rivet it with a shorter piece, and I'll be able to fix it. But I'm not sure if that was just for the axe that I received, but it's not functioning correctly if it can just come off like that. But it is a very nicely made sheath. One nice little touch is that it came with this laser cut stainless steel Bison sort of keyring or logo. It was just attached to the lanyard hole with this piece of leather. Pretty cool. Anyway, as I said earlier, I do think it's the best comparison is with something like the forest axe or the boys axe. So just a quick comparison. The handle obviously is quite a bit shorter. The boy's axe, the council tool, has got quite a nice long thin handle. The bit, if you can see, it's quite a bit thicker on the Bison, but the bit length you can see on the council tool is actually slightly shorter than on the Bison. And with that beard there, it does sweep down quite low, which gives you quite a nice long bit length. And that's a quick comparison with the Husqvarna forest axe or large forest axe. Also got a slightly longer handle. Once again, the bit length on the Bison is actually quite a bit longer as well. And also still got a thicker bit as well. Alrighty, so let's give it a go. So even though the bit's pretty thick, it does bite well, biting well into that. So I've not done anything to the edge on this axe. I'm just using it as it came out of the box, and it came already sharp, so I didn't need to sharpen it at all. So yeah, cutting really well. So it seems to split pretty well. This is a piece of spruce, which is usually quite tough and knotty and gnarly. There weren't any knots in it, but it was a bit of a twist, and it went through it like butter. But I think that really thick profile there is why it does split pretty well. So I expected it to, and it certainly didn't disappoint. So it seems like quite a decent little utility axe, actually. What I was finding, the handle certainly wasn't uncomfortable, didn't cause me any problems at all. Definitely felt when I was felling, obviously slightly longer handle would have been maybe nicer, but to be honest, for a utility axe, it's quite a nice size to put in your backpack. So, you know, there's always going to be a trade-off there. So it was quite a nice compromise. One thing I did notice with the particularly thick bits, obviously it's split really well, but it did have a slight tendency to glance maybe a bit more when I was limbing, maybe more so than the boy's axe. And I think that's just down to the profile. So once again, there's always going to be some level of compromise. So I think this shape is a slightly different take on a utility axe, you know, when you compare it to the Scandinavian or American styles. But very interesting, performs pretty well. Decent price, made in Europe. You know, I think it's a good option. And, you know, if you see them, go and give it a go. Not sure how readily available they are. In the UK, it was fairly easy to get hold of, but I'm not sure if it's widely available outside of Europe. But if it is, you know, give it a go. It's not an expensive axe, and I've actually quite enjoyed it, and it's done a pretty good job. Anyway, folks, hopefully you enjoyed that, and it was interesting to see something a bit different. But once again, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.